Wow, my hair. Whew. I'm kicking weeds out of the way. My dad told me a long time ago, you're supposed to plant your potatoes on Good Friday, and I have tried to do that ever since. I've dug rows, I've dug troughs, I've tried raised beds. The best potatoes I ever grew were the very first ones in our apartment a dozen years ago now, and they were just in old grocery bags and old coffee bean burlap bags. Best potatoes other than volunteer potatoes. A lot of times when I get volunteer potatoes, they turn out better than anything. But today is Good Friday and we're going to get our potatoes planted. If you're new around here, this is Angela's Seeds to Suppers, and yep, I'm Angela. And I try to teach you everything as I am still learning about growing food in small spaces and using it. So our content is about everything from the seed to having it for supper. So I have two kinds of seed potatoes here. I ordered these online from Gurney's. I'm going to be really honest, I was a little disappointed at the number of eyes that were on these. When I was cutting these up, which you do, like I guess I call that an eye. I'm used to using like old potatoes to do this that have started to sprout. So when I just see little tiny things like that, it concerns me a little bit. So I cut them yesterday. You can do this a day or two before you're going to plant them because you kind of want this to toughen up. You don't want this to rot like compost down in the ground. So I cut them. There's some people who don't cut them. I'm trying to space them out and get more. You do your research. There's a big discrepancy between people saying to cut them and other people just planting the whole potato. But I have Yukon Gold, which are a determinate, so we do not need to layer. They are not going to continue to grow more along the vine as the vine grows up. So we're going to plant them, get them exactly where they need to go, and that's it. These russet potatoes are indeterminate, so potatoes will sprout all along the stem if I continue to add soil as they grow. First time I'm using these bags, I bought them last year on TikTok Shop. I think it was kind of during a sale, if I remember right. They have holes in the bottom for drainage, which is excellent because you do not want your potatoes to get soppy down in there, but potatoes do need a lot of water. And there is this flap that when the potatoes are ripe, ready, we can either just dump the bag or we can grab what we want for a meal right out of there. Also a good way to check on them and see if they're ready. Now I have 6 of these, so I kind of planned on doing 3 and 3, but I saw that you can also do carrots in these, and I do not have a lot of success with growing carrots. So I thought that might be something worth trying, and it looked like in the picture, it was probably just a drawing, but it looked like they're really close together. So I don't know. Anyway, if I have an extra one, I'll try it. Okay, first thing, you by no means have to do this, but I'm thinking some of my soil is going to fall out through there. So I had this box that I grabbed some straw in, and I'm just going to put that on the bottom. It will disintegrate over time. Even if it's in there for a while, it's going to attract worms up into here, which I'm really hoping does happen because that's going to make all the soil and everything so much better. But just to keep my dirt from falling out through here until that disintegrates, I think I'm just going to put that in there. Now, you do not have to put straw. I'm just doing this as some filler. I also have some wood chips I'm going to go get. Now with these wood chips, and you do not have to do this, I may regret doing it, but it's going to help retain moisture as well as give me some, no, I don't want any big pieces, as well as give me some weight in the bag so it doesn't fall over or get knocked over. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Now, I put that kind of thick because this is going to be my Yukon Gold determinate ones. So I was planning on putting them about halfway down. So hopefully big potatoes will have space to grow down instead of like bumping themselves up against the soil as they grow. So I'm going to put a layer of soil here. And this is just raised bed and in-ground soil. I am not using potting mix because I knew I was going to put the wood chips and the straw in there. And potting mix is just going to cost a whole lot more. And I'm always trying to do everything fairly inexpensively. In fact, I have some potting mix from last year that I grew other things in. I thought about using, but I grew other nightshades like tomatoes and peppers in them, so I probably shouldn't. So when you're putting your seed potatoes in, you want the eyes up because that's where your plant is going to go up toward the sun, and then it's going to make more root potatoes down underneath. I already feel heat with this, and I am kind of putting these close together. I may hurt myself in the end here by doing it. Now these are going to be an earlier potato than the russet. If your eye was right here on the side, you would put it in and plant it like this. But if those are the eyes, we are putting them up. And I'm not trying to badmouth Gurneys. I have purchased a lot of things over the years from them and been very pleased. I just felt like for the amount of shipping I had to pay, because they did not have free shipping unless you spent a huge amount of money, and I was not planning on spending a huge amount of money. They ended up being quite expensive, but I never liked the ones from the store. I just don't ever feel like they're any good. Now, they said the small ones you could leave whole, but now I'm seeing some little eyes on the other side. I kind of wish I would have cut that one up. But I do want to get about half of these in here. Again, I know I am planting these way too close together. Let me give them a little more space in between here. I really didn't see any instructions on, how close to put them in these bags. More soil on top. I actually think I'm going to go with a layer of straw. I have found rocks in my composted soil this year. That is very discouraging. I am finding all kinds of junk in these. Companies are putting cheaper ingredients, I guess. I have bought this soil from, it's Miracle Grow. I'm not trying to badmouth them. I've bought it from Costco for years. Their potting soil. I probably buy 15 to 20 bags a year. Huge bags. Because I just use it to top off my raised beds. But this is the raised bed soil. I don't normally buy it. Oh, I thought I was going to put more straw in there, didn't I? Normally, I've just done the potting mix in the past, but this was more inexpensive. But I have found rocks in both of them. Which to me is just kind of unacceptable. I have had to call them before. Several years ago, I had an issue with some of their soil, and they sent me a coupon for, to try it again. But I don't know. I think it's just the way of the world. Companies are trying to save where they can. Okay, as I top this off, I just happened to think, this is a new bag here, a new bag of soil. I think I'm going to put some straw on top just to keep this from not drying out quite so easily. Potatoes actually need a good amount of water each week. Something like I'll have to look it up. I'll try to look it up and put it on screen. I think it's 1 to 2 inches a week. Now these Yukon Gold might be done before we get into the hot, dry summer. But my russets definitely, I will be trying to keep watered in the middle of summer. And I was getting more wood chips for the next bag, and I thought, wow, I kind of like to put wood chips on top of these, but then the straw, the plants would still grow up through there. First time using these bags, so there's probably a little bit of a learning curve. I always try to keep a bag or two of soil on hand to top pots off and things as the summer goes by, because things will settle. When I'm starting just like pots of peppers or tomatoes, I put a lot of wood chips in the bottom because they're free, they take up space. Again, they'll attract worms up through the holes in the bottom of the pot or these bags. So those just settle as they decompose. And a lot of times I just have to add more soil. Those are in there pretty deep. Let me do just a little bit more, and then I think I'm going to top this off with straw. Maybe I want to wait and do that right before I water. That's probably just going to blow off. But just trying to give you the idea of what I'm going to try to do here. And there we go. These do have handles for carrying. So I'll get the other Yukon Gold ready. I'm going to have to find a way to label these because I want to make sure I know which one. Well, I guess I'll know because I'll be building up the other ones. Yeah, never mind. I'll know. I'll be back when I get ready to do the russets. I have 2 bags ready here for the russet potatoes. I just did a very thin layer of straw and wood chips on the bottom of each, topped with some of this raised bed soil. I'm going to start putting them in here, and I'm fighting a rainstorm that's coming here. Good Friday, sundown, I guess we're going to have a big storm. Oh, I'm getting these way too close together. Okay, so I may end up doing, I don't know, if I could just restrict these to 2 bags each, then I could do a bag of carrots, like I said, and a bag of beets. And that is very tempting because beets just do not do well in most things that I have tried. But I know for russets, I'm getting these way too close together. So, yeah. I mean, I probably have enough here that I could have just done all 6 bags. I thought maybe I bought too many potatoes, but I wasn't really sure what these were going to hold. Okay, so I'm going to do that with the second one, and then I'm going to top this off with some soil. And oh, actually, I'm going to put a layer of straw on there. Won't hurt, just going to feed. I did not do that with the other ones, with the Yukon Gold. But these are going to come up through here. So I'm just going to put enough to cover that straw. And then once I start seeing little potato plants come up, when they get big enough that I can just lay some soil on here, or get some soil on the stems and keep those leaves, just enough to keep those leaves above the soil, then I will continue to add as they grow. Okay, so we're finishing this up, and in this one, I did have to do a 3rd russet potato. They are still very crowded, I think, and if I have success, but they are small, I will know that if I want to do 2 varieties of potatoes, I just need to get 6 more of these bags. because I think I could have done 4 or 5 at least bags of just the russets. And I don't eat, it was just a couple pounds of seed potatoes. So I'm going to finish this out. And with all of these, I am putting straw on top. Now this is going to get more soil on it, so that's all going to be good. We're going to get these in place and give them a really great drink of water. Okay, couple of things before we wrap it up here. If you're interested in these bags, how to get them is in the description. It's over on TikTok in my TikTok shop showcase. Super easy to get there and grab them, but I'll put the specific name down below so you can check them out. Going to be a very popular item right now, guys. So if this is something, I'm not trying to push, but if this is something you're interested in, be getting them pretty quickly here. I'm kicking weeds out of the way. Okay, this is a space where I used to grow tomatoes along the fence between my neighbor and my yard. She has this bush that just gets bigger every year. So it's kind of, 2 years ago, in fall of 2024, I cut it back to here. Last spring so 2025, it was like spring or early summer. She cut it back to here and it keeps doing this. So I'm going to ask her if I can cut it because I know last year she cut it when it already had leaves and things on it. So, but it blocks shade on my beds over here. And I've scooted these down so I don't think that shade will be an issue. But potatoes need a lot of sunlight. This is a pretty good place. I do have a little bit of an angle here, so I don't really like that they're leaning, but I think they're going to be okay. Probably as the soil gets packed down, I can, and they get, the water and everything in them, I think I'll probably be able to straighten them out a little bit. But this shelf will not be here all summer long, and my hose bib is right here. I want to make sure I get these watered as much as they need. That has always been an issue with me and potatoes, neglecting to water them as much as they need. Now, when I decided to get these last year, what I was going to do, I have a collapsible rain barrel from Vevor, and I can put that link down below too. Or you can check it out in my showcase as well. And I have a solar powered watering system that I hooked up the collapsible rain barrel to, and it was wonderful for my peppers. That was my intent with these, but having them here close to the hose, they're not going to take up, here's the honest, authentic, transparent reality of an urban farm. You run out of space. So I have to use space wisely. There is nothing else that I could plant there successfully. That's the walkway that goes to the back yard. Wow, my hair. Whew. And I just think that's going to be the best option. And I have no place to put a collapsible rain barrel here, but that's okay. I will be using the hose almost every day, unless we've had a rain, and then they wouldn't need watered anyway. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have to water them every day, but they are going to need frequent watering. So my dad would be proud. We got our potatoes planted on Good Friday. I still need to water them. Water. Get that in my head. My dad's still around. Very blessed to still have my dad. In about a week, exactly a week, he's going to be 88 years old. And I really need to ask him if he helped his parents garden. I'm assuming, being born right between the Depression and World War II, I'm assuming he probably did. I've heard stories about taking care of the chickens or not taking care of the chickens. And he just gave up gardening, his big garden. Probably this might be the 5th year, because going up and down the hill, he was kind of getting concerned, but he has still put a tomato plant or 2 or 3 out up by the house. I don't know if he's doing it this year or not. He always says he's not going to, and then he does. So over 70 years of gardening experience, and he told me I needed to plant my potatoes on Good Friday. So that's when I do it. And why Good Friday? Well, Not sure if you know this, and I don't remember the specifics, but because the timing came out of ancient pagan traditions, Easter is actually not scheduled. Actually, this year, I guess, like scientists have said, it is actually on the day that it would have been in AD 33 when Jesus died. But as far as why it jumps all over the calendar is because it's connected, it's set by the phases of the moon. Again, going back to pagan traditions. So I don't remember that, but I do know it's always during it's always after the full moon and before the new moon. And if you plant with the phases of the moon like I do, your root crops go in the ground as the moon is getting smaller. So I think I have videos on that. You can check them out. If not, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a video on how you plant with the phases of the moon. Thanks for joining me. And again, if you are interested in these root bags, this one's going to be for carrots now. And actually, the reason I went ahead and did the third one with the russet was like, okay, I could wait and do, because those Yukon Golds might be done by June. I would still have plenty of time to start some beets in one of those, or maybe a succession crop of carrots. So, yeah, no stress, no worries, right? Thanks for hanging with me while I got my potatoes planted. First time using these potato bags. Again, if you're interested in any of the products that I used in this video, the names and how to get them will be down below. And I would really love it if you would subscribe and become a part of our community. Getting lots of great questions from people. I just found out that here on YouTube, you can record answers. Over on TikTok, you can record videos. Maybe YouTube will do that someday, but I can record a voice response instead of just typing it all out. So, yeah. If you got any questions, drop them down in the comments. I love all the engagement, the likes, the shares, the comments. Subscribe, please subscribe. Anything. I think I already said that. So I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye-bye.